Devotee. Distractions result from inherited tendencies. Can they be cast off too? Maharashi. Yes, may have done so. Believe it. They did so because they believed they could. Vasanas, predispositions can be obliterated. It is done by concentration on that which is free from vasanas and yet is their core. Devotee. How long is the practice to continue? Maharashi. Till success is achieved and until yoga liberation becomes permanent. Success begets success. If one distraction is conquered, the next is conquered, and so on, until all are finally conquered. The process is like reducing an enemy's fort by slaying its manpower one by one as each issues out. Devotee. What is the goal of this process? Maharishi. Realizing the real. Devotee. What is the nature of the reality? Maharishi. A. Existence without beginning or end, eternal. B. Existence everywhere, endless, infinite. C. Existence underlying all forms, all changes, all force, all matter, and all spirit. The many change and pass away phenomena, whereas the one always endures noumenon. D. The one displacing the triads, that is the knower, the knowledge, and the known. The triads are only appearances in time and space, whereas the reality lies beyond and behind them. They are like a mirage over the reality. They are the result of delusion. Devotee. If I also be an illusion, who then casts off the illusion? Maharaji. The I casts off the illusion of I and yet remains as I. Such is the paradox of self realization. The realized do not see any contradiction in it. Take the case of bhakti. I approach Ishvara and pray to be absorbed in Him. I then surrender myself in faith and by concentration. What remains afterwards? In place of the original I, perfect self surrender leaves a residuum of God in which the I is lost. This is the highest form of devotion, para-bhakti, prapati, surrender, or the height of vairagya. You give up this and that of my possessions. If you give up I and mine instead, all are given up at a stroke. The very seed of possession is lost. Thus, the evil is nipped in the bud or crushed in the germ itself. Dispassion, vairagya, must be very strong to do this. Eagerness to do it must be equal to that of a man kept under water, trying to rise up to the surface for his life. Devotee. Cannot this trouble and difficulty be lessened with the aid of a master or an East Devta, god chosen for worship? Cannot they give the power to see ourself as it is, to change us into themselves, to take us into self realization? Maharishi. East Devta and Guru are aids, very powerful aids on this path. But an aid to be effective requires your effort also. Your effort is a sine qua non. It is you who should see the sun. Can spectacles and the sun see for you? You yourself have to see your true nature. Not much aid is required for doing it. Devotee. What is the relation between my free will and the overwhelming might of the omnipotent? A. Is omniscience of God consistent with ego's free will? B. Is omnipotence of God consistent with ego's free will? C. Are the natural laws consistent with God's free will? Maharishi. Yes. Free will is the present appearing to a limited faculty of sight and will. The same ego sees its past activity as falling into a course of law or rules. its own free will being one of the links in that course of law. Omnipotence and omniscience of God are then seen by the ego to have acted through the appearance of his own free will. So, he comes to the conclusion that the ego must go by appearances. Natural laws are manifestations of God's will and they have been laid down. Devotee: is the study of science, psychology, physiology, philosophy, etc. helpful?